Welcome back to the Spirit, Mind and Soul podcast. It's been a while. I had taken a little break from making the podcast just to focus on other things in the work that I'm doing. I've got so many exciting things coming up on the work front. And I also just wanted to take a step back and have a think about what I wanted to do going forward with the podcast. I've recorded some amazing, inspiring conversations that will be coming out in the next few weeks. But today we have Lily. Lily talks about moving to the UK as a young woman with little confidence or self-belief. She took a scary step out of her comfort zone and her whole life ended up changing. Lily just shares so much inspiration. This episode is jam-packed with inspiration and mindset tips that I'm sure will help you on your own journey. And yeah, just the work that she's doing to help other people. You know, she's a book publisher and she holds, mindset events with really empowering, inspiring people. But even if you're not in that business, you're not planning on writing a book, you will get so much from this episode just in what Lily shares from her own journey and from that, taking that little step that she just thought was going to help build her confidence and ended up changing her whole life. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Like I said, more episodes coming out soon, so make sure you subscribe and you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. Hi Lily, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the Spirit, Mind and Soul podcast. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your story. It's an inspiring story and you've almost completely changed your career. That seems to be quite common, doesn't it? That we go through the challenges that we do in life and then we completely reevaluate everything. So yeah, I think there's so much that people can take from your story and the hardships and what you've had to overcome. So can we take it right back to childhood? Because that's kind of where your story begins, but just because of what happened and how that then affected you later on. So yeah, I'll let you take over.
Thank you, Karen. So, when I was really young, my grandma used to say that I was stupid, ugly, and fat. And that had a very big impact on my confidence. So much so that despite the fact that I was first in my class at school, and I don't think I was ever so ugly as to be like, repelling in any way.
Mm-hmm.
But I viewed myself in such a way that I genuinely believed for a long time that I was ugly, fat, and stupid. Although the evidence wasn't there to kind of demonstrate that that was true. But I was kind of like looking for evidence that it was true in people around me. So if you've ever had an opportunity where something good happens to you, you would look for the negative in it, And I think that's what millions of people do as well, where let's say sometimes you are so used to something being familiar that even if you get 9 great opportunities and you have one which is a negative thing, you might go for the negative thing because it reminds you of what is familiar. And that was what was happening for me for a long time. Now when I came to London, I had to fight, almost like have this inner fight inside myself, inside my soul, to think about, okay, on the one hand, it's almost like a voice that says, Lily, you are stupid. Lily, you are ugly. Lily, you are fat. But at the same time, there's this other opinion, which is kind of saying, oh, but you're so pretty, and so many guys, look at you, and you are, coming, you're the best in your class, and it's like it's easy for me to find solutions for problems. So there was this dichotomy, this almost like this fight inside of me. There was making it difficult sometimes because you're kind of like trying to be to protect yourself of people. And for a long time, I was scared of people. And I can say that that continued for a really, really, really long time. And to some extent, you can say that I'm still scared of people. Okay. Having said that, I managed to change my life quite dramatically when I published my first book. So after about 2 years of working as an au pair,
Mm-hmm.
Then I started to work as a nanny for 6 years. And that was because I had such low confidence that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't genuinely believe I could do anything better than that.
Yeah.
So one moment came when it felt like my time was now. My time was now to have fun, to experience the world, to have fun. And that kind of stopped. And the reason why it stopped was because of this feeling of knowing that I had to do something different. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what it was, but I just knew I had to do something different because I felt stuck. Because
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I have no money, I have no house, I have no boyfriend, I have no children, I have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I had to leave some sort of legacy to feel like I had done something.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I had done nothing. So that's when I
Yeah.
decided to publish my first book. And my first book was called Meet the Nanny. And although that book only sold 22 copies, it enabled me to become a magnet for opportunities, for business opportunities, for dating opportunities, for meeting people, for meeting extraordinary business entrepreneurs that were so keen to give me these opportunities to sell stuff for them, to sell their products and services, to
Mm-hmm.
promote stuff for them, and to collaborate with them. And it opened massive doors for me. And I previously was a nanny, had never worked in an office.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so difficult because I had no idea how to actually do it, how to
Yeah.
actually, work in an office. But
Yeah.
because of publishing the book, it enabled me to become a magnet for opportunities.
Yeah. Can we go back then? Because how old were you when you moved to London?
I was 23.
Right. Okay. And where was it you were brought up, Lily?
I came from Romania.
Right, okay. And brought up there your whole life and
Yeah.
then moving to London. So obviously you when you were talking about, obviously the low self-esteem and the confidence and the trust, like that you really sort of grabbed me with that because I guess your grandmother who you loved and trusted, if they can if someone in that position in our lives can speak to us like that, I mean, how can you trust the world, just strangers and people that you don't know if someone that close to you is speaking to you like that. So yeah, yeah, that just really sort of grabbed me when you said about the lack of trust. Yeah, so I'm sorry that you had to experience that as a child. But then obviously going to London, that's still a young age to go out, moving country and, working abroad. So how did you start to, before publishing your book and before you got to that point, how did you even find that confidence and self-belief? Because that's a big thing to do, but like, self-publishing, especially it's becoming more common now, but we're going back, when it wasn't as common. And, that you must have gained some confidence and self belief to take on that journey.
That's a great question. So I remember that first, to have the confidence to even come to London, it took quite
Mm-hmm.
a lot of courage because I had never traveled before by plane, and not to mention alone, and not to mention with only 100 euros in my pocket and two suitcases full of hopes and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And after I arrived, I mean, it's almost like I had so much trust in the fact that it was just going to turn out okay. And I think sometimes you have to just trust in yourself and trust in your own wisdom when there's no evidence that things are actually going to work out. Sometimes you have to take risky decisions because you feel in your gut it's the right thing for you, regardless of what anyone else says. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And in terms of publishing the book, I would say that again, it felt like I had to do something like an impulse decision to change my life, and I had nothing to work with, and I had no idea how to start. I had no idea like how to buy a house or how to find a boyfriend or how to have children, or I didn't know anything. I was a nanny, and all I knew was how to look after children, and that's pretty much it. So I had no experience in anything. And I thought I needed to do something, and I didn't really know what I should be doing. But I started looking for answers. So I grabbed a piece of paper And I started reading a lot of books, and those books were talking about finding your passion, finding your why, finding your thing. And so I started taking notes, and I created these three circles on this piece of paper. And these three circles corresponded to what I love doing, what is in demand, and what people are looking for. And I was looking for the common ground between these three things. And I started wandering around. And after publishing my book, I was going to so many different conferences and I was asking everybody, do you know what I could do with my skills? And people would often say, no. And I went to this conference where there was this course leader, and I asked him, do you know what I could do with my skills? And he said, no. But there's a guy, he's like over there, and he pointed to someone in the crowd, and he said he might be able to help you. And I walked in that direction, but there were about 350 people. And then he said, you have to sit down. So we all sat down, and I happened to sit exactly next to this guy that he actually mentioned, I discovered a little bit later. And he had an English school. And I had this vision board. And on my vision board, it said, I want to be the director of an English school. And I also wanted to practice my French and my Spanish. And I also wanted to travel the world and to find a boyfriend and also to build websites. And what was funny is that the minute I met that guy, my life changed because I had already published my book. He wanted to know how to publish his book. He was at that conference to learn exactly how to do it. And he had an English school. He gave me the opportunity to manage this English school, and he taught me how to design websites. And I discovered later that I actually don't like that. What I like to do is to tell people what to do so they can do websites for me. And that's why now I have a large team of virtual assistants who do websites for me, for other entrepreneurs, and for my own, business. And I also started traveling. And it also happens that his main market was French and Spanish and Italian. So I also got to practice my French and my Spanish. So a lot of my dreams came true by meeting him, and I met him because I published my first book.
Mm-hmm. And so that first book, because I know you're going to go on and talk about sort of what you do now, and it does revolve around obviously publishing books. When we spoke before, you said you didn't write that book for other people, you wrote it for you. So how does that fit into it? Because I mean, even selling 22 books when your first self-published book is still good, you know?
Yes. So when you publish a book, you should write it for other people. You should write it to solve other people's problems because that's why people will be buying your book. Having said that, millions of people want to write and publish a book for them. And I was in that same position. I wanted to write a book for me because I wanted to tell my story. Problem is, who cares about your story? People can and do care about your story when you know how to tell it in a way that it solves their problem, in a way that it gives a solution for something they are looking for, whether it's inspiration, motivation, how to do something, how to solve a particular problem they have. So if you do it like that, then you can sell a lot of books. But because I hadn't thought of them, I was thinking about myself. I was, in the selfish me looking for an opportunity to tell my story. But the problem is, nobody cared about it because I hadn't put it in the right way. I hadn't written it in a way that other people could learn from it. I had just done it for entertainment and for my own, I don't know, we could say entertainment to some extent, but also to leave a legacy. But I hadn't thought about what they would be getting from it.
Yeah, I mean, you probably, to be honest, just needed that brain dump as well, just to get it out of your head and onto paper, and you sold some copies, so it's a sort of win-win, isn't it? But obviously, you must have found a sort of passion in writing them because it's a part of the work that you do now. So, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So after publishing my first book, I realized, wow, first, it got me a boyfriend. Second, it got me an opportunity to manage an English school. Then it got me an opportunity to manage a property business that was at the time doing 400K per year, and I helped it to go to 642K per year with the same number of properties because I just started using some of the branding, the improving of the image of the company, and also gifting the book that I had helped my partner write to potential clients. So that's when I realized a book can become a really great tool to help you to find clients, your desired clients, and also to help you to raise your authority. It can also help you to connect on a deeper level with the clients that you want to have. And also, it can be like a brochure on steroids, because when you give people a brochure about your business, they're going to throw it in a few seconds. But if you give them a book, they may read it, they may gift it to someone who may read it, or they may have it on their shelf and then they may see it later. Or they may just feel, wow, I'm so impressed with this person, that every time they think of having a particular problem that they want to solve and you are in that field, they're thinking of you. Just because you're on the cover of the book and you have impressed them with how you looked on the cover of the book, even if they don't actually read that book. But what I helped Harry, my partner, do is write a useful book. And I wrote a book specifically for potential tenants that were coming to London, that were looking for accommodation, and that didn't have the opportunity to rent a property, because when you come to London, you have no bank statement, you have no proof that you actually can pay the rent. And our market was exactly that. Those kind of people that were students or young professionals that had the ability and the willingness to learn, had the ability and the willingness to find a job, but they just didn't know how. So I was helping them to find a job and also to rent from me, and also to learn enough English to get a job. And I would also rewrite their CV, and I would train them a little bit about what to say in the interview so they would get hired in 2 weeks or less. So like this, I helped 2,000 people to find accommodation, to learn enough English, to get a job. So because of that, the business grew. And the people that I selected, although they didn't have credit reference, or they didn't have references or anything, they were good people. So it worked out very well in terms of growing the business, helping me as well to get integrated, and having fun in the process as well, and helping to optimize the business and the business revenues, but at the same time helping to optimize the entire system, where I felt like I was useful as well. I felt like I mattered. I felt like what I did made a massive difference. I really felt like I was smart. I was appreciated for being smart. I was um, providing an excellent service, and I was appreciated for it. And that's where you can say my confidence gradually started to elevate, because I was doing something that made massive difference to thousands of people, and they were appreciative about it because they were getting jobs, they had a place to live, and not a lot of people would take that chance.
Yeah, and it's authentic as well. When it's coming from in here, then the passion comes out, and we're normally good at what we feel passionate about. Whereas normally, we can go and tick the societal boxes and do what we think we should be doing, and then we wonder why we lack the motivation and why we might not be getting the outcomes that we want. So yeah, no, I think that is, a good sort of inspiring for anyone who is thinking about maybe they have a little dream or something that they want to do. Hopefully that can inspire them to take action on it. I know that a lot of my listeners are on a sort of spiritual healing journey, or they prefer what we would call alternative healing modalities. And I know that you had your own journey as well. Can you talk us through your journey? Because I wonder if it's something that also might inspire them to go off and, encourage them to share their story like you have as well in books. So can you tell us a bit about your spiritual journey and how you managed to heal?
Yes. So I remember a long time ago trying to fill a journal, and when it has this circle with 8 sides, which is like health, family, relationships, spirituality, and so on. And I looked at spirituality and I really thought spirituality meant religion. And because I've never been that religious, because my grandma used to force me to go to church for long periods of time, and I never felt that enrolled into it, that I was very much disconnected from my spirituality for a really long time. Now, I've always believed in God, but I was never that connected with spirituality. And it was only in around, I think, 2020 that someone invited me to a spiritual workshop, and it was called Empower Thyself. And I remember going there, and I was bored the entire time. But at the end of the workshop, what I realized was that something magical was happening within me, which was that it's almost like negative energy was like going away from me. And I felt like I was 20 again, like 20 years old. And I felt like I was, vibrating on a higher frequency, like I had elevated, like I had found that zest for life and, having more fun and more joy. And I think that was when I started again to kind of reconnect to what it means to be spiritual. And from then on, I went on to do more courses on, healing, Healers Academy, and so on. And because during these workshops, I learned about, asking the angels for help and looking for signs that the angels may give you in terms of numbers like 1111 or, things like that. And I became more aware about spirituality and connecting and also praying, the power of praying. And since then, I pray every day. And I do find that it gives me a lot of comfort because I think we all experience tough times. And when you're able to pray and to connect with your spirituality, then you are able to find the wisdom that you already have within yourself. And then I feel that you attract massive opportunities, and you're not feeling so small anymore because you're not alone, and you've never been alone. And that's when you really discover that you're always guided, you're always surrounded by angels, you're always surrounded by spirit guides, you're always surrounded by people who can help you, by people that can be supportive, by resources. And all you have to do is just stay open to it and stay positive and be kind and be helpful and be kind even if you don't have to be kind. And be kind in terms of even complimenting the people around you in a sincere way, and be friendly and be helpful even when you don't have to, and go out of your way to help people, because when you do, I do feel that you get that help when you need it the most, not necessarily from the same people, but you become more aware of how titanic you really are, and you become more aware of how you can awaken your titanic power. And I have awakened to my titanic power, so much so that now my mission is to impact 100 million people, to be happier, to go after what they want, to share their stories, and to create wealth through books that transform the world. And I do think it's a massive thing, considering that I've always been afraid of people. And it's taken me a really long time to become comfortable, to trust people in a way that, yes, I want to help people, but at the same time, I was afraid of people for so long because of what happened when in childhood, and I can't say that I properly overcame it. I'm now doing this in spite of that fear. It's not like the fear went away.
Yeah, I love that. I always say dance with the fear, because the fear might be there anyway, but you can use it as a driver rather than letting it hold you back. That's amazing. I loved listening to that because as a very spiritual person as well, I believe that, and I believe that the energy that you put out is what you'll get back as well. And so I am actually writing my book. I'm sort of halfway through, so I might need you. I might be coming to you later on to help with that. And that's even just listening. The advice that you've given has actually really helped me. I totally see what you mean when you say, you write a book. It's easy to sort of brain dump and just get it all, everything that you want out, but then asking yourself, is that helpful to other people? So yeah, thank you for that. That I find that really helpful. And everyone has a story. Everyone has their own journey. regardless of whether it's spiritual or business or, a life event or something that they've gone through. So if anyone is, would love to get their story out of their head and onto paper, how can they contact you and get help from you with their book?
Thank you. So you can contact me on my website, www.lily.global, and you can actually get a free consultation with me of 45 minutes where I can take you through a strategy for you to create your first book and to even give you the title, which I think is quite an important thing. Once you have the title and once you have at least the topic for your book, it can be a very transformative experience. Even if you've already decided what the title is going to be, it's good to have this discovery session because I specialize in branding, and I think that we are all creative entrepreneurs. We all like a gazillion things, and it's really important that you think about that when you publish your first book, because it's good that the first book, it becomes almost like an umbrella for all the other subtopics you're going to cover. And I always recommend that the first book is the book that promotes something that you actually want to promote. And regardless of your different experiences, it's always good to write your first book about something you actually want to promote, as opposed to for example, let's say that you are doing property, and let's say you've gone through a very traumatic background, but you want to do about both. You want to get more clients for your property business, and you also want to talk about trauma and the impact of that and so on, right? So you need to think about, okay, do you want to be a life coach? If the answer is yes, you could do your book about trauma and overcoming trauma and turning that into power. But if you want to promote mainly your property business, then you should do your first book about property, because that's the thing that will give you the money around the book, not necessarily through selling millions of copies, but it will be the thing that will be the authority piece that will help you to create workshops and to be seen as the authority to do everything you want to do around property. And then your second book could be about overcoming trauma and so on, but then you have to be prepared for what's coming next, because every book creates magnitude of opportunities, and you need to be prepared for that, because there's so much that can open up from doing something. And when you do a book in the right way, it can open thousands more opportunities. And when you invest in having the right image and at the same time having the right energy, I think having the right energy is really important, because when you have the right energy, when you work on yourself, when you are going to the gym, when you are kind, when you smile, when you take the time to make yourself happy, you create things from a different energy versus when you are kind of sad, and then when things are not working so well for you, then things are going to be hard. Things are going to be difficult when it comes to actually writing it, and the readers will sense that energy. So it's important that you work on your energy as well as you are writing the book, so that you can transmit the right energy to your readership so they can connect. Because anything that is negative kind of tends to repel. So when you're not doing so well in life, when you're not feeling so well, then it feels like you're pushing. Whereas what you want is to attract. And when you want to attract, you have to be in this energy of joy, being joyful and happy and feeling great and appreciating yourself for all the different things that you've done for the world and for people and for your community, for your family. And when you're in this appreciative state, that's when the right energy comes across to your readers, and that's when they can properly connect with the message you actually want to share. The other thing that's important is also to have a clear, short, simple message on the cover of the book that becomes your title. And that should be your book title, should be your brand title, can become also your company title, an additional one if you already have one. And you can create a business around that particular book, because your title, you can just add another word and that could become your workshop title. If you word it right, you can create a book that will make a massive transformation to your life and to thousands of people as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I find that really helpful. I will definitely be having a conversation with you later about my book and how you can help. What about anyone else who, that maybe isn't thinking of writing a book? How can they work with you or contact you or your workshops? What else is it that you're doing at the moment, Lily?
Thank you. So my partner Harry is organizing Speakers are Leaders workshop, which is happening in London. It's a public speaking workshop,
Mm-hmm.
and it has also marketing, publishing, and branding all in one. And it's all about how you can become a more effective communicator. So you can communicate your brand story to the world. So you can pitch your products, services, and everything you would like to pitch to the world, whether it's on social media or on global stages, so you can become more impactful every time you speak,
Mm-hmm.
so that even if you have 15 seconds time to speak on stage, or if you have an hour or you have a minute, you are able to be so impactful in those minutes
Mm-hmm.
that people always come to you because they want to find out more. And then you just have to finesse that and improve that messaging in a way that it lands so well with your ideal clients that they feel magnetized and they are dying to work with you. They just
Yeah.
cannot wait because you're so great and the way you communicate is so wonderful. So you can visit that speakersleaders.co.uk. That is a workshop that I have in October.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a workshop that happens on a recurring basis. And I also have Speakers Are Leaders Luxury Business Awards that is happening in April next year. And it's happening every year. And one amazing thing is that at this event, we already have the former president of Kosovo, and she is confirmed to attend. And we're intending to bring 300 multimillionaires and 300 six-figure earners to connect in order to explore opportunities. And many influencers, media will be there. So it will be just a great thing for people to connect with. And the important thing is that if you need more help to brand yourself, to elevate your image, to be more of who you truly, authentically are,
Mm-hmm.
you can simply message me at hello@lily.global, and I will endeavor to help you to grow your brand, to meet more of your desired clients,
Mm-hmm.
and to
Thank
feature you
you.
in the media.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Obviously, all the links for that will be in the description, so I do encourage people to go and check that out. And before we wrap up, you mentioned earlier, because essentially everything that's happening in your life now is because you went to an event. Your life could, if you hadn't gone to that event, your life could have taken a completely different turn. So yeah, I think there's something in there, for anyone who sort of maybe just doesn't have that confidence to go to the event. I think you're such an amazing example of someone that, because what you did was take on your grandmother's limiting beliefs. This is my area of expertise, is the getting to the root of our limiting beliefs, which we subconsciously take on. And you actually touched on it earlier. Our mind looks for the evidence that it's true, and it will find it. But there's also the opposite to that, is the empowering belief, which you worked on that, and you managed to instill the empowering beliefs and the confidence. And then you've taken that scary step to go to this event. So yeah, I think my message there is just for anyone who's sort of holding back and not taking that action on something they want to do. You're a great example of what can come of that, the opportunities and possibilities that are out there if we just take that scary step. I just wanted to
Yes.
mention that because I think that's a really important part of your story as well.
Yes. And I do also think that it's important to empower ourselves continuously. And how I do it is that I've written a book about how to empower yourself with affirmations, which will be coming up soon. And I do think you can create your own affirmations. So,
Mm-hmm.
where you feel like you're lacking in a certain area, you can create the opposite belief around that. So, for example, right now I have this affirmation that I say, which is that I'm an iconic brand and I help 100 million people to be happier, to go after what they want, to share their stories, and to create wealth. And I'm appreciated by 100 million people for the joy, love, abundance, creativity, expertise, happiness I bring to people. And there are many more. Like, I'm respected, I am loved, I am empowered, I am unique, I'm intelligent, so all the different things that you can say I believed for a long time, that I was stupid, then I'm replacing that with I'm a genius. And now I believe it. I believe it so much so that people are noticing the genius in me, but it's because I'm noticing it. And that's the thing that is making it different. So people can only see what you give them. And you have, you can say, not the upper hand. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but you have the guiding, not the guiding light, but you are the person who can dictate what other people see, because it's how you see yourself that they see you. So if you want them to have a better opinion about yourself, you have to start seeing yourself in a better light, because you have responsibility. Even if you are being treated really poorly by certain people, it's your responsibility. And what your responsibility lies in is in looking at yourself and seeing, okay, what belief do I have right now that is guiding this person to treat me in a poor way? And I've been treated poorly all my life by a lot of people. And that's the thing that actually, for a long time, it made me depressed. And how I managed to overcome that was to start looking at, actually, I'm responsible for this, because I'm giving them this opinion about me that I'm not worth it. Therefore, they're treating me like I'm not worth it. If I want them to treat me like I'm worth it, I should believe it. And that's the reason why I'm doing these affirmations. And I'm sure you know a lot more about this particular topic. But for me, I've worked a lot on myself in terms of affirmations, in terms of even, I think, doing things that make you feel positive, whether it's dancing, whether it's doing something you love, whether it's, I know, eating chocolate or drinking coffee or having your nails done, or anything that gives you an element of happiness or joy, can really help you to elevate your vibration. And that can also help you to be seen in a different light by yourself and by other people as well, but also making an effort, putting an effort into yourself. So wearing the earrings that you like to wear, or the dress that you like to wear, or making an effort in terms of discovering what your ideal colors are, so you can look at yourself and feel, wow, look at myself, I'm awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing so vulnerably as well, Lily. And yeah, one thing that I always ask, I actually normally ask about what, do you have a particular mindset tip? But you've actually shared so much that unless there's anything, any sort of mindset tip that you feel has helped you on your journey.
Yes. One mindset tip that has helped me is that you have to focus on being excellent and being positive as well. Because when you feel like you're doing your best, that's when you feel quite satisfied that you have tried the very best that you can possibly do, and you're feeling much better about yourself. I also think it's important to continuously try to stay positive, because let's say I wake up in the morning and something bad happens, then it's important to kind of continuously try to go back to positivity, because when you do, that's when great things happen. So let's say someone spilled coffee on your shirt. Yes, you can have a bad reaction and think, oh my God, I'm so late. How am I going to get to work? All these different things. But if you're just going to go, you know what? I'm just going to put on a nicer shirt now, and I'm going to look even better. So you choose your own reaction. And because you choose, then you can choose to have the very best day possible today.
Yes.
And because of that, you're not allowing other negative things that happened to affect you as much as they could have. You could be screaming, you could be shouting, you could be thinking about, oh, I'll be late. What will I do? Will I even find something as good as this? And I was trying so hard to iron it. And, there's so many negative things you could possibly think about. But you could choose to continuously try to go back to the positive. And as long as you include happiness moments into your life, into your calendar, then I do think that will make a massive difference. So one thing I did that made the biggest difference was to create a happiness calendar. So when I was younger, what I started doing was to think about, okay, what are the little things that make me happy? So I made a list of about 100 things that make me happy. So I put there playing tennis and walking and doing my nails and doing my hair and, all the little different things. And then I put, okay, so how can I include some of these things every single day? So I started adding them up before work or around work. So they were guaranteed to happen. And that's a really good way for you to ensure you're staying positive for longer. The other thing that I think is important is to look at the bright side. So even when I was a nanny, and at some point I had reached this moment when I was feeling a little bit stuck because I felt like I want to do something different, but I just don't know what. So even in that moment, I read this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that book taught me about the power of reevaluating your current situation and finding something positive in it. So, and the book was talking about how even if you are a burger flipper, be the best burger flipper there is. Even if you're a waiter, be the best waiter there is, because if you do that, then you will have fun. And you will look at being a waiter from the perspective of not like, oh my God, I'm so bored. Oh my God, I can't believe they only pay me, I don't know, $7.50 per hour, whatever it is. You're looking at it from the perspective of, I'm having so much fun. I'm alive. I have hands. I have water. I have a hot shower. I have a nice room. I have a really organized house. And I can do whatever I want today. And I'm young, right? So if you look at the positive perspective, you're going to find that you have so many. Like I'm looking at you right now and I'm just thinking, you're so gorgeous. You have such amazing eyes. You speak so clearly. You're so beautiful. You are so talented. You are so gifted. You are so intelligent. You are so fun, right? So I'm just like looking at you right now and I can come up with at least 20 things that I can just tell you right now. And at the same time, you can tell it to yourself. So when you do, that is when your life changes because you realize, oh my God, I am such an amazing mother, or I'm such an amazing person, or I'm having so much fun. And look, I'm 29 years old, or I'm 40 years old, but look at me, I look like I'm 20. Okay, so there's so many exciting things about yourself that you can find when you focus on the positive, when you focus on gratitude, when you focus on being in your power.
Yeah. I think to add to that, that's an amazing tip, what you've just said. And I think if people might struggle with that to find the good things about them and their traits and, their capabilities or whatever it may be, I think thinking about what would your parents say about you or what would your friends say about you, sometimes that's the easiest way and then they can see it from a different perspective. I think just to add to what you've just said, because sometimes we can't always see the magic in us. It takes, someone else to pull it out of us.
I think it depends because, for example, in my case, my family was not necessarily the most
Of
encouraging
course,
type,
of
so
course. It
it wouldn't
depends on
work in my case. But
yeah,
if you have supportive
yeah,
parents and friends,
of course.
totally
Yeah,
leverage that.
yeah,
I do think that if you start looking at yourself and really see yourself, like really see yourself, look at yourself in the mirror. And yes, maybe you could have a little bit of a tummy, or, maybe you don't like your legs, or maybe you don't like your whatever, But if you
mm,
really see yourself and you look at all the different positive aspects you
yeah,
have, I'm sure you can come up with at least 100. And I'm talking, you can cook, you can look after children, you can clean, you can have fun. You can have fun with nothing. You have a roof under you have a roof. You have clean water. You have hot water that some countries don't even have.
yeah,
So if you look at all these different
that,
positive aspects that you already have, you are going to be stunned that you are already like 100 times more grateful than any other person. And that's the reason why actually a lot of times I go to the underground
Mm-hmm.
and I'm stunned. Why aren't people smiling? I have no idea. Because I'm thinking, I'm so happy to be alive today.
I am the exact same. Yeah, it's gratitude, isn't it? We're talking about, traits and the good things about us, but yes, sometimes it is just actually sitting with the little things, and actually what we actually have compared to others. Some people would love to have our life, even if we don't see it as being anything grand or special. We're just lucky, even just, yeah, to be here, to be alive, and to have a roof over our head. So yeah, absolutely. Gratitude as well is really, it's a very good vibration as well. It's a very good energy to feel when you're feeling gratitude.
Yes. And I also think the one thing that also helps is the mirror exercise, where you're passing a mirror, okay? And let's say I would normally look at myself and think, oh, look at my wrinkles, look at my tummy, look at my whatever. But now I'm looking at it and I'm complimenting myself. I'm saying, oh my God, look at that. Right? But I've trained myself. It took me many, many years. I'm 42 right now, and I
Yeah.
can tell you, I only managed to do it from a few months ago.
Good
Okay,
for you.
so it took really a tremendous amount of time to get myself to do
Mhm.
that, and I'm not being. There's nothing arrogant about it. It's just about self-respect,
Yeah.
self-love, self-appreciation,
Mhm.
self-acceptance, and
Mhm.
I find that the more that happens, the
Mhm.
more you find that in people around you. So when you self-appreciate, then other people appreciate you as well.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't believe it's taken it too far. I think it's just the right amount where you're feeling great about yourself, and because of that you're able to serve from a full cup, because
Mhm.
you're feeling good with yourself. Because of that you're able to help millions of people.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And so obviously you've just, I know that people will get so much from that and just from the work that you're doing every day. So is there anything for the future that you want that's just for you? Do you have a personal goal that's not work related, just something that you would love to do or be or feel or have?
So my personal goal is just to impact 100 million people, to be happier, to go after what they want, to
Mhm.
share their stories, and to create wealth through books that transform the world. And also, I want to be slimmer, and
Mhm.
I'm working towards that. And I do find that it is working. I'm doing this thing where I'm doing no diet at all. I'm just eating once a day, and I'm finding that it's giving me a lot of personal appreciation to do it, because I feel like I'm getting a little bit slimmer, a little bit more attractive every single day. And I do think that when you have a massive goal, it can be so daunting and so scary to think of, oh my God, it's going to take me a year to do it. And when you think about how much time you need to do something, and it could be anything, it doesn't have to be weight loss related, it can be so daunting and so scary to think of, oh my God, I just can't be bothered to do it, or, but as long as you're doing little progress every single day, I do think that you can feel so great about yourself.
Mhm.
And the most important thing is to remember you are young right now, and you're young even if you're 90 years old right now, because you are young, because being young is an attitude. And when you appreciate the fact that you are young and you are healthy,
Mhm.
then you will remember that for a long time, that people who are not feeling well, they really wish they had your health. People who are not looking so great, they really wish they had your beauty. So you have to go back to the basics and just remember how lucky you are, how
Mhm.
amazing you are, how awesome you are, how maybe well spoken you are, how well you behave with your children or your family. Look at yourself and really appreciate yourself for who you are and what you've already done in your life. And as long as you compare yourself to who you were yesterday and you made progress, you've already achieved quite a lot.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Honestly, that was jam-packed with inspiration and so much value that people will be able to take. So I really, really appreciate everything you've shared, Lily. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Lily's story. I think that was jam packed with inspiration and hopefully encourages you to take that little step out of your comfort zone. You just never know what's going to come from it and the opportunities that are out there for you, just waiting for you to take that action. I highly recommend you go and check out Lily's events and the work that she's doing. Obviously, if you've ever thought of writing a book or telling your story, that's something that Lily can help with. We all have a story, and our story might just be able to help someone else. So I do highly recommend going and checking that out. All details to contact Lily are in the description below. Thank you so much for all of your support. This podcast has been going for 1.5 years now, and I will keep bringing you the best guests with the best stories. So thank you so much for all of your likes and shares and support on this journey of mine as well. Ways to work with me and contact me are also in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe. You'll be notified when the next episode of the Spirit, Mind and Soul podcast comes out. And if you liked it, please give it a little like. Every little helps, and I'll see you next time.